Footbeds. Not a terribly glamorous subject, nor one I've ever given much thought to, but perhaps that's to my cost. Because whilst I've never used any, all of my fellow GCN presenters have. So in this video, I'm going to explore the subject and get fitted with my first pair. These ones from ID Match. You'll have heard us talking about ID Match before. Ollie bangs on about it all the time, and flippin' loves it. The idea is that it's a complete bike fitting system. They say it's the only one that uses scientific data analysis to find the best possible setup for you, as well as giving you valuable information about what potential new bike might or might not fit you. The footbed aspect of it, though, is a relatively recent addition. It was launched back in 2022 after they had amassed enough data from all their bike fits to create the product. So I'm on my way now to an ID Match bike lab, one of 260 and counting worldwide, to see which of their footbeds I might benefit from. I'm lucky that I have had a lifetime of riding bikes and never had issues with my shoes or my feet. But if you do suffer from foot pain, this would be your first step, short of making sure your shoes fit. As I said before, I am the only GCN presenter who doesn't use footbeds in their cycling shoes already. So I did check in with the guys before setting out to find out why they use them already and to see if it's worth it. Connor, you use special footbeds in your cycling shoes. Why?
I do, always have done, pretty much, mainly because someone that lived in the same town as me gave them to me for free. I couldn't say no, felt impolite to.
But you've used them ever since?
But I've used them ever since, changed my mind totally. I think they're a game changer. A lot more comfortable for me personally. Felt like I could put down the power better.
What I feel like it actually does for me is make my shoes feel like they fit my foot better, rather than feeling like my foot is trying to fit my shoe, if that makes sense.
I was quite happy with normal insoles before that, but it was one of those progressions where I thought there's no point in going back to normal ones because these fit perfectly. And they were so hard wearing, I used them for the rest of my career for another 3 or 4 years.
I trust what those guys have to say, so that is why we're making this video. So this is Vires Velo, or one of their 2 outposts. It's a factory experience centre, but crucially for us, they've also got an ID Match bike lab. Okay, it's open to anyone, including me. So this is Vires Velo's ID Match bike lab. There are many like them. This one is theirs. This is the bike jig, but today we're interested in these, of course. So these are the ID Match footbeds, of which this is one. Okay, so there are 3 different levels of arch support for low, medium, or high arches. Crucially, there are 5 different lengths. Now, the length relates not to the length of your foot, but to the length of your arch. So what ID Match do is they measure your foot length, but crucially they measure to your 1st and 5th metatarsals as well. So that tells them how long your arch is. So in total there are 15 different options. So they're not fully custom, but they don't need to be. So ID Match say they took data from 70,000 bike fits before beginning to create their footbeds. It's important to note that these are cycling specific. So in a cycling shoe, your foot is in a very fixed position. So it's not dynamic at all. And that is what this has been designed for. And so by fitting it to your arch, it should mean that all the dead space in your shoe is taken up. So if you were ever to experience kind of hot spots or painful feet, then this would distribute the pressure across the whole of the footbed rather than leaving those pressure points there. And potentially as well, by supporting more of your foot, that might mean greater power transfer as well. The fit process begins with measuring my feet. Length from heel to toe, and then heel to the 1st and 5th metatarsal bones, which then tells ID Match how long your arches are. Next, the fitter takes note of the imprint that my foot makes on the heat-sensitive pad. Depending on the shape, they can tell if you have low, neutral, or high arches. Unfortunately, my feet were so cold I needed to use a radiator to warm them up first. Finally, to help ID Match work out your ideal cleat position to go with the footbeds, you need to perform a one-legged squat. This will tell the fitter if you naturally pronate, supinate, or a neutral. This information will dictate the angle of your cleat. Now, while this part isn't linked to the footbeds, the information that ID Match has on your feet can help to precisely locate the ball of your foot over the pedal axle, something that's long been considered the optimal position. To get the angle of the cleat right, there is one last measurement that needs to be taken, and that is effectively the angle of your foot as you pedal based on how much you pronate or supinate. So me, I'm neutral, so the cleat can therefore be fixed in a pretty much pointing straight forward position. Here we go then, I've got my new ID Match footbeds in here. I'm going to take them home, spend a bit of time on it. I'm not expecting to be able to measure a before and after difference, but I'm going to be so interested to know how it feels. So interested in fact that I can't actually wait to get home. I'm going to do a bit of pedaling here on the bike fit jig. You definitely feel a difference. My feet aren't in a different position, there's just a lot more contact with the shoe. Now it's obviously not possible to get a real feel on this because it's not one of my bikes, but I feel like my ankle, knees and hips are very straight right now. So there's a noticeable difference. I'm gonna have to go home and go for a bike ride. Here we are then, back where we started. I've now spent a couple of rides with the new footbeds in my shoes. And I tell you what, I can absolutely feel the difference. Now, given that I didn't have any issues with discomfort from my feet or shoes when cycling before, I can't tell you that the difference is that my riding is now more comfortable. But given that I can feel that my foot is supported over the whole of the footbed, I can absolutely see how if you did have issues with discomfort, this could help potentially sort that out. I also caught up with our resident bike fit guru, Phil Bird, who talked about how in some cases footbeds can actually provide enough support that it changes people's alignment of their knees when pedaling to the extent where actually it can help alleviate medial knee pain. So that is another significant difference, I would imagine, for some people. And one final aspect of ID Match that I wanted to mention is that it could be a great way of helping you choose your next pair of cycling shoes. So if you go to a bike shop that offers this service, it can help you get fitted to those shoes and also, crucially, set up the cleats on them. Now, I'd be super interested to hear your thoughts on footbeds. If you use them, how you've got on with them, whether you're tempted by them or whether you haven't actually gone down this route so far. I, for one, will not be taking them out of my shoes anytime soon. I definitely want to spend a little bit more time on them. Now, big thanks to ID Match for supporting this video. Huge thanks to Vires Velo for hosting us as well. Like I said, get involved in the comment section down below and hit the thumbs up button as well.